Hi friends, please settle down and please close your eyes. Please close your eyes, guys. So, in the last lecture we had discussed the Marxist view of the family, the feminist views of the family, and contemporary developments in marriage and family. Yeah. So, very quickly, what is the Marxist critique of the family, brother? Brother. Yes. Engels क्या कहते हैं? Online students, please type yes if you can hear me and see me. Engels. कुछ रह गया? ठीक है. Good, wonderful. Then what do Marxist feminists say? ठीक है. So working class women basically reproduce, labor, or okay. नहीं ऐसे नहीं लिखोगे वो. हाँ. हाँ. Absolutely, absolutely. What else? Very good. Diane Feely and David Cooper. Traumatized? नहीं यार. नाम इतने अच्छे बोले और बात इतनी खराब बोल दी. Traumatized by family क्यों? हाँ? You need to put it still better. It's not about manipulation. धोखा देगी क्या माँ? हाँ? बेटी, what do they say? The family serves as an ideological conditioning device. Absolutely. Absolutely. Inculcating those personality traits which are beneficial, which produces basically pliant workers for the capitalist economy. Or Margaret Benston, reduces the bargaining power. Family reduces the bargaining power of the proletariat. Wonderful. Fran Ansley. Who are the takers of shit? Women are the takers of shit. Yes, the frustration generated due to exploitation in the capitalist system is channelized within the realm of the family safely. Right, what else? बोलते जाओ आगे जल्दी जल्दी. हाँ, हाँ, लिबरल फेमिनिस्ट क्या बोलते हैं? कोई भी एक नाम लेके एक क्रिटिसिज्म बोल के खत्म करो. Give me some criticism of family from the liberal feminist perspective. Oakley, Anne Oakley, yes. Correct. ठीक है, so family reinforces gender stereotypes. The mother housewife role is very restrictive and alienating. Beti. Yes. Absent. Her neighbor. Very good. Jesse Bernard says that men benefit from marriage while women lose in marriage. और बताइए. Radical feminists. Very good. Carol Haniest and Susan Brown Miller. What do they say? Brother. Yes. Yes. Absent. Brother. Absolutely. Patriarchal ideology को promote करती है family. और बिटिया. Families are domestic abuse. Brother. Sorry? Women have to reproduce. और बताइए. Domestic violence spoken of. ठीक है, इंडिया में बहुत डोमेस्टिक अब्यूज है. कितना फिगर्स? 30% of respondents had faced spousal violence. और बताइए. Contemporary developments. What do you understand by plastic sexuality? बिल्कुल. So the advent of contraceptive technology has ensured the sexual liberation of women, the separation of sex and reproduction, and so people are not compelled into relationships for life. Right? Very good. और कुछ भी बता दो जल्दी से. Brother? No, mustache. Yes. Apart from, we are done with Giddens. Guys, before we proceed, note down one correction. Okay, in what we discussed in the last lecture. We had possibly incorrectly mentioned that 50% of the children in the US are living in step families. Correction there. It's about 15 to 16%, 15 to 16%, and not 50%. 15-16% of all children below age of 13 years in the US live in blended families. Use the term blended families. Okay, that's a preferred term. Blended families is another term for step families. Basically, when you have either a step parent or a step sibling, okay, it's called blended families. ठीक है? So I hope we've all made that correction, including online students. Please continue. Who was? Yeah, you were right. Yeah. Elderly. बिल्कुल. So more elderly are staying alone than before. ठीक है. So now 70% of the elderly or widows above 65 years of age were living alone. ठीक है. और बताइए. Brother. Yes. Anything about reproduction? How? डबल इनकम, नो किड्स. ठीक है, और बताइए. रेज योर हैंड. यस. Marrying at a later age. What average age are people getting? हाँ, ठीक है, और बताइए. Decline in fertility. बिटिया, और बताइए. Sorry? Unmarried cohabitation, also known as live-in relationships. और बताइए brother. Increase in divorce rates. ठीक है, so this is what we had covered. Moving आगे, staying with family and kinship, of course. What we see here, do we see? Or is it like hidden behind me? That is the portrayal of a typical family. Okay? Or this is how a typical family looks. There is a man, hardworking and the breadwinner of the family. Then he has a dutiful wife. Not beautiful, dutiful. Okay? Dutiful wife and 2 children. Yeah, very well socialized. This is how the typical family looks. Yes or no? No. Please appreciate, this is how we imagine literally the typical family. This is not how really the typical family is. This is what Edmund Leach rather caustically calls the serial packet image of the family. Is the picture perfect family? Yes or no? जैसे serial packets के आपको covers पे मिलेगी. Are you with me? What we are discussing is diversity in marriage and family. That's the topic that we are taking up today. Diversity in marriage and family. You know, this portrayal, what you just saw, right? That you have a heterosexual couple with children, happily ever after. That kind of a portrayal is too cliched, too stereotypical. Are you with me? Not only that, but it is also far removed from the ground reality. In the real social world, friends, family forms display a wide variety of forms. People have all sorts of living arrangements. Are you with me? सारी फैमिलीज वैसे नहीं होती हैं. कैसी होती हैं? ऐसी भी होती हैं. Not that picture perfect. Say an old lady living with her grandchildren. This is also a family. Yes or no? It's a modern or post-modern family. A same-sex couple with an adopted child. This is also family life. Right? It's not always a bed of roses. This is also how many people live. All by themselves. ये होती है family. So people have all kinds of living arrangements, friends. ऐसी भी होती है family. Are you with me? Am I like blocking your way? Oh, but I can't vanish. I'll have to be somewhere. Okay. This depicts what? An interracial couple. So it's not necessarily that both are like white or both are from the same ethnic background. Are you with me? ऐसी भी होती है family. What is depicted here? Interreligious marriage. ऐसी भी होती है family. Yeah. You will find this very common in Delhi. Forget the West. In lots of cities in India. You'll have a group of young men living together. ये भी होती है फैमिली. हाँ, ऐसी भी होती है फैमिली, right? So, what we began with was a very, should we say, kind of a picture perfect portrayal of the ideal family, which is often far removed from the ground reality. In the real social world, family relationships, family patterns, living arrangements, family forms exhibit a great deal of diversity. Rhonda Rappaport suggests that family diversity, किस देश में है फैमिली फॉर्म्स में डाइवर्सिटी, बाय द वे, बिफोर आई बिगिन विद रैपपोर्ट, किस देश में पाई जाती है दिस डाइवर्सिटी ऑफ फैमिली फॉर्म्स? विदेश में, स्वदेश में, हर देश में पाई जाती है. एब्सोल्युटली. That is exactly what Rappaport also suggests, that family diversity is a global trend. It's a global trend. So it's not that only in the US you will find diversity of family forms. You'll also find it in a country like India, China, Japan. दुनिया भर में you will find various living patterns, family arrangements, etc. Clear? Just to break this myth that, that heterosexual couple with children, that is the dominant family form. Let me share some statistics with you from the English society. In England, married couple with dependent children, in 61, the first set of figures is for 1961, the second figure is for 2010. Married couple with dependent children constituted only 21% of all families in 2010. Okay? It's been decreasing. 1961, 38% of all families were of this type. Married couples with dependent children. But by 2010, only 21% of all units were married couples with dependent children. Matlab what you assume to be in the beginning, the typical family form, only 1/5 of all units are of that type. Admi, aurat, bacche. But then, bottle. Okay? What we assume to be the typical family form, only 20% odd of all units were of that type. So people were living in various other types of arrangements. For example, single person households were 29% of all units. So that lone woman staring out of the window that you saw, that wasn't an aberration. 30% or almost 1/3 of all units are of that type. Single person households. Are you with me? Single person households, which were only 12% in 1961, were 29% by 2010. ठीक? Single parent families, a woman living with her, typically a woman, less frequently a man, but a woman living with her children without a man, 7% of all units were of this type. A more than threefold jump from a meager 2% in 1961. ठीक? Point is, friends, that families come in all shapes and sizes. You don't write it that way in your answers, but families exhibit a great variety of relationship patterns, composition, intra-family relationship dynamics, they greatly vary. Because possibly or because of increasing divorces, right? That is why you would see more single parent families. In the US, there has been a significant rise in interracial and interreligious marriages. Increase in interethnic marriages. No, what I just quoted from England, well, that was from England. What I'm now quoting is from US. Okay? Rappaport is making a general commentary. Okay? And this is data to substantiate her claim. In the US, in 1967, only 3% of all newlyweds were interracial couples. But in 2015, 17% of all newlyweds were interracial couples. ठीक? Likewise, interreligious marriages. In 1967, 19% of all newlyweds were in an interreligious marriage. By 2015, this figure was 39%. You can mention, it is from the US Census Bureau, compiled by Pew Research. Okay. ठीक है? So you have single person households, you have single parent families. You have phenomena like stay-at-home dads. There's a phenomena called, living apart together. Living apart together. अलग-अलग साथ में रहना. Basically meaning what? That because of their independent, separate careers, the man and the woman may live in different cities. Long distance kind of a relationship, but then they would meet. These are also sometimes referred to as weekend marriages. They'll meet over the weekend. Okay? Yeah, commuter marriages. They will commute to stay together over the weekend. Okay? Sorry? That's something different. Okay? So point is, you do have a lot of variety in people's living arrangements and family forms. Last but not the least, you also have which type of marriages? Which we are, as we speak, we are contemplating in India today. Same-sex marriages. Same-sex marriages. And on this issue of same-sex marriages, we'll dwell at some length because it's a topical issue. Right? Kya dabao? Ira. So friends, tell me, what's your take as a society we are contemplating legalizing same-sex marriages. Let me give you a brief background info, like how we have reached here. There was something called the Section 377 of the Indian Penal Code, okay, which criminalized homosexual intercourse. The language of the act was something that, anything which is against the order of nature. Intercourse against the order of nature, and this term was interpreted to also include homosexual intercourse. Okay, so this section 377 of the IPC criminalized homosexual intercourse. So, sometime in, I think about 2008 or so, 2008 or 2010, I think it was 2008, the Delhi High Court in its judgment in the Naz Foundation case. Naz Foundation was a gay rights advocacy group. So, the Delhi High Court in the Naz Foundation case in 2008 or about decriminalized homosexuality. It watered down section 377 of the IPC and decriminalized homosexual intercourse. ठीक? Here, in 2013, this was in 2008 or about. Anybody knows? 9? For sure? 9? ठीक है, so 2009 possibly, near about that time, Naz Foundation case, homosexuality was legalized, section 377 was watered down, right? And then in 2013, this Delhi High Court judgment was challenged. It was celebrated by gay rights activists, but it was challenged by those who opposed the move in what came to be known as the Suresh Kaushal case. Suresh Kaushal was a Delhi-based astrologer. In the Suresh Kaushal case, the Delhi High Court judgment was overturned by the Supreme Court of India. In other words, section 377 its validity was upheld and homosexuality was once again stood recriminalized. Okay? Here, in 2017, the Supreme Court in the Puttaswamy judgment, you know Puttaswamy? Which case? Absolutely held that the right to privacy is a fundamental right, which was interpreted to mean a step closer to decriminalization of homosexuality as well. Okay? 2017, the right to privacy was upheld as a fundamental right in the Puttaswamy judgment. Then finally in 2018, in the historic Navtej Singh Johar case, the Supreme Court decriminalized homosexual intercourse. ठीक? Ups and downs, but you get the drift. So, for the perspective of gay rights activists, Suresh Kaushal judgment was a setback. The others were favorable judgments. ठीक है? For gay rights. Then in 2020 odd, a petition was filed in the Delhi High Court for the legalization of the same-sex marriages. Okay? And now we are standing in 2023 and the Supreme Court is seized of the matter, hearing petitions for legalizing same-sex marriages under the Special Marriage Act. ठीक है? This is the historic background. ठीक है? So basically you can use some shorthand, no? That LGBT sad, LGBT happy, LGBT happy. Okay. Now, what is your take, friends? We are at a historic juncture as a society, contemplating should we legalize gay marriages. We have already decriminalized homosexuality, homosexual intercourse. Okay, it's no more a criminal offense. But should we legalize same-sex marriages? How many of you, with a show of hands, no detailed opinions, but just a yes or no vote, think that we should not legalize same-sex marriages? Please raise your hands. We should not legalize same-sex marriages. Please raise your hands. Why were you hesitant initially, many of you? Okay. How many of you think we should legalize same-sex marriages? Raise your hands. Far more people in favor of legalizing same-sex marriages. Huh? Those who oppose it, why do you do so? What are your arguments against it? Or those who oppose legalizing same-sex marriages, do you think our society took a wrong step by decriminalizing homosexuality in the first place? कि वो भी गलत कदम था. Then why are you opposed to same-sex marriages? Raise your hands and tell. Brother? It sets a bad example for the youth. Youth bhatak jayenge. Huh? And homosexuals have some hormonal deficiencies. Okay? Which explains their homosexual behavior. Brother. You
can, Solicitor General Tushar Mehta was rightly speaking in front of the 5-member bench in Supreme Court. Who, for example, in a gay marriage, let's say, take a small case, gay marriage. Who is the man, who is the woman? Who will get the property after divorce? Who will get the division of assets will be defined how many? If a gay couple is Muslim, which direction will they follow?
Who can say talaq, talaq, talaq?
Yeah, the Muslim personal law, Hindu personal law. And the third,
so there are various other legal complications which arise.
And the third, I think what Tushar Mehta said.
And by the way, just to put things in perspective, the government of India, okay, has categorically opposed legalizing same-sex marriages in the Supreme Court in 2023. Yes.
They are not saying that don't put it on the ambit of marriage. So there's two more points. From the point, rational point, number third point is that we call it same-sex union, but the problem is not confined to same-sex. It is LGBTQIA plus Q, whatever. So they are not defined in the number of genders they are themselves having. And
so
for example, we can see countries which have already done it in past. So there are a lot of problems, for example, gender change. Then that will have its own legal complications.
So there are a lot of legal ramifications, is what he's saying. Okay, what else? Brother? बच्चों पे बहुत बुरा असर पड़ेगा. बच्चे के ऊपर there'll be some stigma, some ridicule and mocking that the child will be subjected to. The child adopted by a same-sex couple. गे कपल ममता कहां से देगा बच्चे को? एंड बच्चे की पूरी परवरिश के लिए मां और पिता दोनों का प्यार अनिवार्य है. ब्रदर? Are you against legalizing same-sex marriages? On what grounds? It is unnatural. Homosexuality is, bluntly put, unnatural. Kudrat ka niyam hai. Nature ordained it to be thus that a man and a woman copulate. Not a man and a man or a woman and a woman. Why? That a child, for its healthy development, psychological and full, growth and development and personality development, requires of both the mother and the father, not two mothers or not two fathers. और बताइए, brother? Yeah. Gays spread AIDS. Simple. Okay? They are typically non-monogamous, multiple sexual partners, resulting in the spread of STDs like AIDS. Sorry? Syphilis. अभी शायद वो monkey pox या कौन सा आया था WHO ने? हाँ जी. Yes, the sanctity of the institution of marriage stands threatened. इंडिया में अभी भी मैरिज एक पवित्र बंधन है और उसकी पवित्रता पे आंच आएगी, है ना? एब्सोल्युटली. और बताइए, ब्रदर. See, government cannot compel. Anyways, presently they're asking it under the Special Marriage Act. Okay? But nevertheless, you do make a broader point that religion dictates something. As far as homosexuality is concerned, widely across religions it is regarded as a sin. Paap hai paap. Yes or no? In the Suresh Kaushal judgment, when the Delhi High Court had legalized same-sex marriages in Naz Foundation and the LGBT rights activists were celebrating. Okay? But the religious figureheads across religions came out strongly condemning the Delhi High Court judgment. They supported the Suresh Kaushal verdict. Otherwise, on most other issues, different religious communities in India don't see eye to eye. हर बात पे हम झगड़ते हैं, हिंदू मुस्लिम सिख ईसाई, इस पे सब एक हो गए. In their opposition to homosexuality, all of them claiming that as per their religion, as per their scriptures, homosexuality is a sin. So homosexuality is widely condemned as immoral, as against the teachings of all major religions. Yes, brother. Okay. What else? Huh?
I'm not against it, but in US it has been observed, it also leads to child exploitation.
Exploitation of children. Sexual exploitation of children. Child safety is of paramount importance in any society. Simply what you seem to be suggesting is that increased legitimization and mainstreaming of homosexual behavior can be a threat to children's safety. Homosexuals are somewhat predatory. I'm talking to my male friends here. All of us have experienced that. Not at this age, but in our younger years, when we were chikna. Yes or no? In public transport, unsolicited advances by typically older gay men. Yes or no? So gays are kind of predatory in behavior. मासूम बच्चों का क्या? हाँ, और बताइए. So you're saying the LGBT community in India is in a nascent stage of formation and not yet reached a phase of maturation. So it won't be able to handle it. Complex issues like marriage. This is an outcome, or simply he's saying it's an outcome of wokeism. है ना, इसीलिए हम सब pro LGBT rights भी हैं. हाँ, it is simply cool to be pro LGBT.
There is no underlying natural condition which is amplifying this thing, but they are feeling void inside their life. They don't have any meaning in life, so they indulge in this type of thing.
People who don't have meaning in life, who have a void in life, fill it with such meaningless, extraneous kind of activities such as homosexual sex. Huh? And it is what he's calling wokeism. Basically, it is the corrupting influence of Western culture. Corrupting the minds of Indian youth. आज की जनरेशन खराब हो रही है. और बताइए, brother. And it is against Indian culture. Sorry to cut you short. It is against the ethos of Indian culture. Indian culture में we celebrate, we idolize. Which union? The heterosexual union. भगवान श्री राम और मां सीता का यूनियन, गौरी शंकर का यूनियन. Yes, brother. कोई और weird? हाँ, very good. So basically, see, the main argument of the LGBT rights activists or supporters is माँ body, माँ rules. ठीक है, मतलब who are you? साफ बात है. I'm an adult and I have certain sexual inclinations. You are a man and you like having sex with a woman, please do. I'm a man and if I like having sex with a man, what's to you? Why are you poking your nose in my bedroom? Right? You matlab the wider society, the state. Why should there be any restrictions on the individual sexual behavior? Let me express my sexuality the way I want it. If you accept this logic, friends, then human degeneracy knows no bounds. It is a slippery slope downhill. The same argument then, the same moral argument can then be extended to justify other sexual perversions, such as bestiality, having sex with animals. Are you with me? What's to you? You like having sex with humans, you have. I like having sex with animals. What's to you? Or necrophilia. You like having sex with living people, I like having sex with dead bodies. What's to you? Are you with me? ऐसी होती हैं, एक whole list of perversions are there. Corpophilia, having sex or intercourse involving feces. I find that arousing. What's to you? Incest, pedophilia, so many things. There was this Hollywood movie in the recent past, widely celebrated, Call Me By Your Name. They depicted what? A very rather beautiful depiction, moving depiction of the love between a 14-15-year-old boy and a 25-30-year-old man. Okay, so they were like attracted to each other and they were shown having sex, etc. And very beautifully rather. Are you with me? स्क्रीन पे तो आप किसी को भी ब्यूटीफुल कर दो, किसी भी चीज को. Then you can, if you can justify this 15 and 25, 30-year guy, then you can justify 10 and 40-year-old guy also. Where do you draw the line? साफ बात है, as students of sociology or even otherwise as aware citizens and participatory members of the society, we should be aware that sexuality is never only about the individual. It is very much the society has a legitimate concern. And dare I say, the legitimate right to intervene in human sexual behavior. Since times immemorial, society has regulated sexual behavior. The society has a vested stake in how sexual preferences or sexual behavior is expressed. Are you with me? Whether it is, say, promoting a small family norm, promoting contraceptive usage, or in some countries with declining populations, encouraging a higher fertility rate. Whether it is about banning or allowing abortion. Yes or no? Regulating the age at which people get married. Society has been doing it since ages. And it rightly should. Because it has wider social ramifications. It's not just about ma body, ma rules. Your body, society rules. And legitimately so. और बताइए ब्रदर. हाँ, प्रोनाउंस ही oblique him, they, जी. तो प्रॉब्लम क्या है? दे दो ना दो चार प्रोनाउन. वाई यू बीइंग सो कंजूस? ठीक है, ओके.
Sir, and one more thing, like he said, to add to that, in US recently, a lot of
Sorry.
12, 13-year old, like not 18 yet, they were kind of having like surgical sex change operation, puberty blockers, and things, because they were kind of being indoctrinated. So like several states,
Homosexual indoctrination.
mostly Republicans, to come out with this age consent. They passed law specifically, like 10, 15 states, that you cannot have sex change operation before you are an adult.
Absolutely.
They're very prone to indoctrination by leftist teachers, or like TikTok, Instagram, anything. You have to be part of community, you have to be cool in that sense. They're very susceptible. Like,
ठीक है. So people get, children particularly, young children get easily influenced. And see, basically now, if you, it's a never ending process, right? The kind of new demands which may crop up, right? You seed one, you matlab the society, the state seeds one, and then a new set of demands. For example, in India only, the first was decriminalization of homosexuality. Now that you have that, the new demand is the right to get married. What will follow? The right to adopt children. Are you with me? In the US, there was a very long-standing debate on whether homosexuals should be allowed to join the army. See, in army and other such environments, there's a lot of same-sex persons, like all male, lot of nudity in certain situations like community showers, etc. Are you with me? So, lot of such difficult questions would arise. The Indian Army chief of the Indian Army was asked in the wake of the Navtej Singh Johar judgment, ki, sir, what are your views now that homosexuality has been decriminalized by the Supreme Court? His response was, ये सब आप लोगों में होता होगा. ठीक है, आर्मी में नहीं. मतलब Indian Army will still remain or preserve for heterosexual conduct and not encourage such. हाँ, एडल्ट्री के लिए भी. और बताइए. या ब्रदर. Children are unaware, he's saying, in the US till the age of as late as 15, 20 years of what is their gender.
They are male or female, like as he said, that there are 50 kinds of different sexes that 72, they are now at 72.
Yes, and expanding.
They are expanding.
Gay marriages will have a great repercussion if the couple adopts a child. For example, what if a gay couple adopts a child for sexual abuse? The term family is incomplete without a man and a woman. In India, you cannot adopt a girl child as a single male. Then how can you allow two gay males to adopt a child? Okay, friends, so there is a whole bouquet of arguments, viewpoints against same-sex unions specifically and homosexuality in general. Homosexuality is widely condemned, likh to lo kuch, as unnatural. Indian, even Western, it is homosexuality is widely condemned as unnatural, immoral. It's a sexual perversion. It is pervert sexual behavior. It is deemed to be sinful. In our society, friends, there is a very wide consensus against homosexuality. You know, there are few things, in fact, which are, if you remember when we studied deviance, we said deviance is culture specific. Yeah? Very few things which are considered as deviant behavior across cultures. This is one such. It is condemned by all the major religions as sinful. It is immoral. Homosexual couples are frequently non-monogamous. Matlab, they have multiple sexual partners, contributing to spread of sexually transmitted diseases. Just to give you a sense, okay, in India, the apex body for controlling AIDS is NACO, National AIDS Control Organization or some such. I'm sharing NACO's figures with you. According to NACO, HIV prevalence amongst MSM. MSM is the formal term used for gay men. It is simply means men who have sex with men. Okay? That's the phrase that NACO uses. HIV prevalence amongst MSM is 4.4%. 4.4%. And to give you a sense of proportion, okay, HIV prevalence rate among Female sex workers, another high risk category. HIV prevalence rate among female sex workers in comparison is 2.6%. So you can imagine, gays have a higher incidence of STDs, serious STDs like HIV, than even prostitutes. So it can lead to, the more we, normalize such sexual behavior, it can lead to a public health crisis as well. You know, in 2023, more than 20 retired judges of the high courts, okay, including some chief justices, wrote an open letter arguing against legalizing same-sex marriages. Okay? They pointed out that it will have serious legal ramifications. Right? So it's not just that Special Marriage Act which will be affected, various other laws, they will have to be relooked at. Retired judges in an open letter pointed out that it will have wide legal ramifications. 2023 में अभी कुछ महीने पहले. For example, you have acts against domestic violence, which particularly offer protection to women. So how will domestic violence laws will have to be reinterpreted in the light of same-sex couples? Are you with me? Divorce also, so many things. Inheritance, adoption, lot of things. You know? They also contended that it will destroy the institution of heterosexual marriage and family, which constitutes the bedrock of society. It will disturb the institution of heterosexual marriage and family. It may result in population decline. See, the more such unions are normalized and, become a part of mainstream, and more people enter into them, for the continuation of society, what do you need? Heterosexual unions. Homosexuals cannot reproduce. Through homosexual intercourse, right? Also, it raises concerns for the safety of children. Particularly, I'm talking in the context of sexual abuse of children. Does that happen a lot? We've all been children. And you're thinking, sir, don't make it personal. अब क्या ही बोलेंगे हम? Yes. Does it happen a lot? A study was conducted by this NGO named Prayas, along with the Ministry of Women and Child Development, Government of India, and United Nations Children's Fund. A study was conducted in 2007 by Prayas NGO and the Ministry of Women and Child Development, Government of India, and United Nations Children's Fund. In India. Okay, and this study found that 53% children had faced sexual abuse Not verbal abuse or physical abuse. 53% children had faced sexual abuse. And one would imagine that it is mostly the girl child. This study found that 53%, I know the figure is repeated, but it's correct, 53% of the abused children were boys. So point is, friends, that sexual abuse of male children is rampant. ठीक. Then of course we had criticized that argument of my body, my choice wali. Basically that human degeneracy knows no bounds and it will serve as a moral argument. If accepted, same argument can be applied to justify other perverse sexual behaviors. Be it pedophilia or corpophilia or necrophilia or all kinds of philia. Yeah? The society does have a vested interest or a huge stake in regulating the sexual behavior of its members. The society has a legitimate stake in regulating the sexual behavior of its members. In Indian society, marriage is a sacred union. It is a socio-religious institution. And it is the monogamous heterosexual marriage which is idealized in India. Simply, it is against Indian culture and Indian ethos. It is a corrupting influence of Western culture. Judges also pointed that out in their letter. Targeting the roots of Indian civilization. In harsher terms, homosexuality has been criticized as a mental illness. A deviant form of sexuality. Please appreciate, friends, that also that it afflicts only a very small fraction of the total population. A very small fraction of the total population is affected by this issue of homosexuality. There are far bigger, more pressing problems that confront our society than LGBT rights, to put it bluntly. How many homosexuals are there in India? Take a guess. Any guesses, figures? We are roughly 130 crore people. Out of which, how many would be, any on the top of your mind figure? How many people out of 130 crore in percentage terms or numerical terms? The official figures that we have again from NACO. Okay, we have only figures for MSM. 25 lakhs. There are 25 lakh MSM in India. Okay, this admittedly does not include lesbians or bisexuals, but that's the only official figures we have. 25 lakh gay men or MSM we have, which is literally a drop in the ocean of humanity that we are. In a nation of 130 crores, that's hardly anything. And साफ बातें हल्ला बहुत करते हैं, इतने बड़ी मुद्दा है नहीं, ठीक है. बात का बतंगड़ नहीं, सॉरी गलत फ्रेज यूज हो गया, राई का पहाड़ बना रखा है. A far more pressing set of concerns would be, say, women's issues, women's empowerment, affecting roughly 50% of India's population. Talking about 60-65 crore people. कहाँ 65 करोड़, कहाँ ये 25 लाख. विमेन के इश्यूज उठाओ, मुस्लिम्स या रिलीजियस माइनॉरिटीज के उठाओ, 20 करोड़ स्ट्रॉन्ग पीपल, ट्राइबल्स के उठाओ, 10-12 करोड़ लोग हैं. यस और नो? इंडिया में इश्यूज की कमी है क्या? गरीबों के उठाओ, 20% ऑफ द पॉपुलेशन इज बिलो द पॉवर्टी लाइन. So really, this issue has been amplified beyond proportion. That's what we are trying to suggest. Generating a lot of debate and discussion, but really doesn't affect or isn't such pressing an issue for Indian society. And you know, one demand will be followed up by other set of demands, whether it is the right to have babies through surrogacy, or adoption rights, inheritance, insurance claims, so many things. Domestic abuse laws, violence wale jo domestic violence laws, a whole set of legal complexities and issues would arise. You know, we are a conservative society broadly. Forget homosexuality, we don't talk about sexuality. Yes or no? Even straight heterosexuality we don't talk about. Now these gay rights activists waving their pride flags in our faces are compelling us, a conservative teacher like me, to have this rather uncomfortable discussion, yes or no, with my students, and possibly having a corrupting influence in their young minds in the process. तुम्हें करना है, तुम करो. ठीक है. Why? तो पहले थोड़ा निकालने तो दो भड़ास. So, it is un-Indian, unnatural, anti-religion, immoral, anti-family, anti-stability, anti-society kind of a behavior, which should be, I would say, possibly nipped in the bud, rather than being encouraged, rather than being celebrated, rather than the society and the state ceding more and more space to these, dare I call them, Western agents. We should stand our ground, protect our culture, save the institution of family and marriage as we know it. Yes or no? तो करें क्या? अब है तो ठीक है. What do we do with homosexuality and homosexuals? One possible solution, I'm suggesting some ways to deal with the problem. One possible solution is what the great German leader employed. Yeah? Which is what? Gas chambers. How is it? हाँ. कर सकते हैं ऐसे? नहीं? It sounds rather inhuman. Kind of too inhuman and too this thing. It is not, huh? She is saying कि कर देते हैं, क्या है 25 लाख ही तो है, हाँ? चलो, if you don't like this German, it's too, this thing. How about the American way of doing it? So in America, ठीक है, now that's a progressive capitalist Western free democracy wala nation. What they have tried is conversion therapy. Okay, conversion therapy matlab trying to convert homosexuals into heterosexuals, and how they would do it. For example, one way was, say, homosexual persons would be shown nude images of persons of the same sex, and if they experienced an arousal, they would be punished through electric shocks. Okay, and they would be shown nude images of persons of the opposite sex, and if they responded positively or showed an arousal, they would be rewarded by chocolates or something, kind of, reinforcing positive behavior. So ये करें, ये मैडम को तो पसंद आया तरीका, हाँ? What do you say? Should we have such kind of conversion therapy? Chalo, let's do it the Indian way. Baba Ramdev, very popular, followed by millions. So he has also suggested that homosexuality is an illness, and he can cure it with a combination of pranayam and kapalbhati. So, should we do that? तो करें क्या? Huh? Or another now thing which is like in nowadays is कि पाकिस्तान भेजो. पाकिस्तान भेज दें या कहीं. करें क्या?
This is what I thought when I was introspecting. The middle way is, here specifically I'm saying gays and lesbians, right to marry outside the ambit of Special Marriage Act or personal laws plus Hindu Marriage Act. But the right to adopt should not be given, and the foremost thing that I believe in, any religious sphere should not be allowed to, should not be forced to compromise on this issue.
ठीक है, और बताइए. Yes,
No violence.
बेटी.
No violence.
जैसे पहला जो सजेशन था कि गैस चैम्बर वाला,
ठीक लग रहा?
फिर वो दूसरा भी जो था पाकिस्तान भेज दे, तो सर हमारे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में है ना राइट टू लाइफ एंड पर्सनल लिबर्टी,
हाँ,
उसका हनन हो रहा है.
तो उसका हनन हो रहा है ना, राइट टू लाइफ एंड पर्सनल लिबर्टी का. एक बड़ी बेसिक फंडामेंटल सी बात है कि इट इज अ फंडामेंटल राइट. और बताइए. हाँ, प्लीज अप्रिशिएट फ्रेंड्स दिस पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू, this perspective which I have shared with you till now, that homosexuality is a disease, it is a sin, it is unnatural, it is a perversion. This is what we call homophobia. Literally a fear of homosexuals and homosexuality, right? This is a homophobic worldview which is very common. It is found very commonly in heteronormative cultures and societies. जो भी अभी तक हमने क्रिटिसिज्म लिखा है होमोसेक्सुअलिटी का, it is what we can broadly term as a homophobic understanding of human sexuality. Which is commonly found in many heteronormative cultures. This heteronormativity, friends, was challenged in 1990s. This view that homosexuality is abhorrent, it is disgusting, it is a perversion, sinful, blah, blah, blah. This heteronormativity was challenged in the 1990s by queer theory. Queer theory. The word queer literally means tedha. Okay, or something odd, or with something that doesn't fit in. The term queer basically is used to, it's an umbrella term to include all alternative sexualities and gender identities that are culturally marginalized. The term queer is an umbrella term to denote all alternative sexualities and gender identities that are culturally marginalized. Queer theorists like Judith Butler challenge and question heteronormativity. Challenge heteronormativity. Are you with me? What is heteronormativity? Meaning, I'll dictate. Sun lo. Heteronormativity means basically the mindset or the thinking that heterosexuality is normal and homosexuality is abnormal, or any other kind of sexual behavior other than heterosexual is abnormal. So heteronormativity basically, what should I say? Privileges the heterosexual union over any other kind of alliances or sexualities. That man-woman unit is considered as sacrosanct, as is considered as the building block of life. And therefore it is something which has to be protected by the society. What I had said when we were criticizing homosexuality, that was reflecting a heteronormative mindset. Yes or no? And queer theorists basically criticize and challenge the assumptions made by heteronormativity. According to queer theorists, human sexuality cannot be rigidly compartmentalized or fixed. People's sexual behavior shows great diversity. Great diversity. Same person, one person may engage in homosexual acts at some point of time, heterosexual sex in other points of time. May be somewhat asexual or not attracted to anybody sexually at some another point of time in his or her life. Homosexuality or any sort of alternative sexual behavior, other than heterosexual behavior, is not an aberration as it is made out to be by heteronormative culture. It is far more common than we will like to believe or are willing to admit. ये होती है heteronormativity and the queer theory's challenge to heteronormativity. ठीक है, लिखो. क्या लिख, मैं कुछ भी डिक्टेट नहीं किया. क्वियर थ्योरी challenges and questions heteronormativity. Full stop. Heteronormativity is the belief or the assumption that heterosexual behavior is normal. Natural, morally correct, and the default setting for human beings. The default setting for human beings. When you meet any person, what is the unstated assumption? सामने वाला कैसा है? Heterosexual है, unless and until, it is suggested otherwise by mannerisms or speech or yes or no. Otherwise we assume that everybody around us is heterosexual. This is heteronormativity. Full stop. Heteronormativity also considers that the man-woman union is the building block of social life. Full stop. Therefore, this union must be preserved, promoted, and privileged through law, religion, government regulation, media, etc. Full stop. A heteronormative culture assumes that gender and sexuality are fixed. ठीक है? Full stop. However, queer theorists like Judith Butler challenge heteronormativity and suggest that human sexuality and gender are fluid and dynamic. ठीक है? Bluntly put friends, थोड़ी सी होमोपंथी हम सबने कर रखी है. Yes, many of us have engaged in homosexual acts at some point of time in our lives or the other. Frequently during our growing up years, when we are still learning about our bodies and sexuality, yes or no, when we are in the immediate aftermath of reaching puberty, a lot of young men and women explore the sexual world. How many of us, an honest raise of hands, have ever engaged in any sort of homosexual behavior? It's okay. How many of us have ever engaged in any sort of homosexual? Juto, come on. We can do better than that. We can be more honest than that. You're deliberately singling me out? It is far more common than that. This is the effect of the heteronormative culture, which marginalizes, mocks, ridicules any sort of alternative sexuality or sexual behavior, while in reality it is far more commonplace. A study was conducted. ये जो 25 लाख का फिगर है ना, it is a gross under-reporting, friends. Gross under-reporting because of the stigma associated with homosexuality, because of crude data collection methods, various reasons. In any population, the share of alternative sexualities is considered anywhere between 5 to 12-15%. On the lower side 5% भी इंडिया में लोगे तो कितने हुए हम? 5 करोड़ से ऊपर, and not 25 lakh. Are you with me? A study was conducted in US by Alfred Kinsey, Dr. Kinsey. Kinsey reports, very famous. That time American society was still very conservative. Okay, and he came out with his reports. He came out with his study titled Sexual Behavior in the Human Male in 1948, followed up with Sexual Behavior in the Human Female, 1953. You don't need to note down the figures, but I'm just reading out to you something. 10% American males were exclusively homosexual, according to Kinsey Sahab, for at least 3 years. 10% were exclusively homosexual. Far more telling, 46%, लिखोगे जरूर, सुनोगे नहीं, बात को समझो rather than लिखना. This data is not so pertinent. 46% of the male subjects had sexually reacted to both sexes in their adulthood. Yani every second man. Are you with me? It is really that common. कभी नहीं हुआ कुछ during those growing up years? Cousin के साथ, neighbor के साथ, friend who was over for a night stay के साथ हुआ है. ठीक है? It is very commonplace. It's just that we are unwilling to admit, and that contributes to this heteronormative thinking. That नहीं, ये तो कोई नहीं करता, है ना? And it's not just this old studies in the US. In the UK 2015 survey, only 72% of the population were fully heterosexual. Yani 28% were all other shades of sexual preferences and identities. Are you with me? Japan में हुआ था 7.6% of the Japanese population were homosexual. Point is, friends, it is not an aberration, it is not a deviance, it is far more common. But it is brushed under the carpet because of heteronormativity or the heteronormative culture. we said that homosexuality is against the order of nature. Not really. There was a study by Bruce Baghamheil. Okay? He found what? That in more than 450 different animal species, homosexual behavior was reported across the animal kingdom. From dogs and cats to lions and elephants to lizards and cockroaches to sparrows to ostriches to foxes and क्या होते हैं वो fox जैसे wolves. ठीक है? Homosexual behavior was documented across various animal species as well. दूसरी बात, साफ बात, what's so great with natural? What's the great shakes about natural? In any case, human sexuality has been quite adopted a lot of what may be termed as not natural, such as contraceptive usage. वो तो हम कंडेम नहीं करते, सरकार प्रमोट करती है. Yes or no? Even culturally, for instance, brahmacharya or celibacy, that is also unnatural. But do we condemn it? No, we put it on a pedestal. Yes or no? It has been argued that homosexual unions, homosexual behavior is the corrupting influence of Western culture, including by these learned judges who wrote an open letter. But पता नहीं, हाँ, क्या कह रहा था मैं? क्या करूं जजेस का? हाँ, the judges also commented that it is the corrupting influence of Western culture. But please appreciate, homosexuality is not alien to Indian culture. Indian culture throughout the ages has displayed a remarkable inclusiveness, a remarkable level of acceptance of diversities of all sorts, including of gender and sexual identities. Ruth Vanita and Salim Kidwai in their book titled Same-Sex Love in India, Vanita and Kidwai in their book Same-Sex Love in India have pointed out how homosexual love or same-sex love has been widely depicted in Indian culture through the ages. Throughout even Indian history, friends. There are mentions of same-sex love in the poems and the compositions of medieval era court poets. In Sangam literature. In Vedic thought also, it is said that Vikriti evam Prakriti. Arthat, that which seems unnatural is also natural. That which seems unnatural is also natural. विकृति एवं प्रकृति. मतलब अगर आपके लिए हेट्रोसेक्सुअलिटी नेचुरल है तो होमोसेक्सुअल के लिए उसकी जो होमोसेक्सुअल टेंडेंसीज है वो नेचुरल है. बेसिकली दिस Vedic wisdom embodies the accepting, the openness, the accepting and tolerant nature of our civilizational ethos. It is not based on exclusion of any segment of the society, including the sexual minorities. Are you with me? So Indian society and culture has always accepted and even celebrated diversity. Devdutt Patnaik, you must have heard of him. Celebrated writer, columnist, many things. He also had his TV show. Devdutt Patnaik, in his book Shikhandi and Other Tales That They Don't Tell You. Shikhandi and Other Tales That They Don't Tell You. That's the name of his book. Other Tales That They Don't Tell You. He also makes the point that, please appreciate that in Indian culture, in Indian mythology, same-sex love has been celebrated. Firstly, friends, please appreciate, in India, a distinction has been drawn conventionally between same-sex love and same-sex sexual activity. Same-sex love and same-sex सेक्सुअल एक्टिविटी में हमने सिविलाइजेशनली एक फर्क किया है. सेम सेक्स लव मतलब फीलिंग एन इमोशनल अटैचमेंट टू अ पर्सन ऑफ द सेम सेक्स. Forget Patnaik for a second. How many of you, with your hand on your heart, have ever cried or felt like crying for a friend of the same sex? लड़ाई हो गई या बिछड़ गए या something, you felt pain and a sense of longing, etc. for a person of the same sex. Raise your hands. Many of us have. So we do fall literally in love with or have a very strong emotional attachment with persons of the same sex. And it is okay. Yes or no? Likewise, you see in Indian mythology, same-sex love, emotional attachment, devotion to each other between members of the same sex is celebrated. For example, the love of Lord Krishna towards his friend Sudama. Do we condemn it as homosexuality? No. We celebrate it as the epitome of friendship. Or the love, in display during Bharat Milap between Lord Ram and his brother Bharat after exile. Do we condemn it? No. Or the love. धन्यवाद भैया. हनुमान जी का अगर सीना चीर दोगे तो अंदर कौन बसे हैं? श्री राम बसे हैं. So do we condemn this love and devotion of Lord Ram, of Hanuman ji to Lord Ram? No, it is the epitome, the purest form of bhakti. So Indian culture has always celebrated Yes or no? Even in Indian movies, it was amply portrayed. Friends giving up their love interest for each other. Friends giving up their lives for each other. Jai Veeru kind of portrayals. Yes or no? Okay, so that is clearly put on a pedestal in Indian culture. And we, unlike the West, in West they don't distinguish between same-sex love and same-sex sexual activity. ठीक? नहीं, हम हमारे कल्चर में हम डिस्टिंग्विश करते हैं बिटवीन सेम सेक्स लव एंड सेम सेक्स सेक्सुअल एक्टिविटी, एंड वी सेलिब्रेट love between members of the same sex. We consider it pure, we consider it divine, we consider it worthy of epitomizing it. Yes or no? ये तो हो गई सेम सेक्स लव की बात. Now coming to same sex sexual activity, Patnaik points out that that has also been amply portrayed in Indian mythology, Indian culture in general. Same-sex sexual activity has also been amply depicted in the Indian tradition. I repeat, same-sex sexual activity has also been widely depicted in the Indian tradition, be it literature or be it architecture. Temples like Ajanta ya Ellora ya Khajuraho. There are ample examples from Indian mythology. Of celebrating alternative sexualities, gender fluidity, etc. For example, we worship Lord Shiva in the roop of Ardhanarishwar. Yes or no? Have you heard of Hari Harputra? Was born of the union of Hari and Har. Basically, Lord Shiva, he was doing tapas. Okay, and the Devtas got worried. There was some background story. So they requested Lord Vishnu to disturb his tapas. So Lord Vishnu took the form of an enchantress or seductress by the name of Mohini and used his charms on Shivji. And Shivji was so enamored that yes, his tapas not only got disturbed, but they ended up making love. And the child born of that union is known as Hari Harputra. Shivji and Vishnuji in the form of Mohini. Have you heard of sage Bhagirath? कौन है वो? हाँ, नहीं तो क्या दिया उन्होंने हमें? गंगा जी. Sage Bhagirath was born to two mothers. Okay, so there is lot of mention of same-sex unions. What is a result of the influence of Western culture? Homophobia. That we see here is an impact of the corrupting influence of Western culture, if we may use that cliched phrase. Basically, Section 377 of the Indian Penal Code was a product of Victorian morality. The British sense of sexual propriety. Are you with me? That was imposed on the Indian people, thereby institutionalizing homophobia. Indian culture has always been far more accepting of diversities of all sorts, including in sexual and gender identities. ठीक? So it was a colonial era law, section 377 in the IPC 1860 odd. Are you with me? In a nutshell, what I have said, that Indian culture has always been open and accepting of diversities, including tolerant of diverse sexualities. What is Western influence is the homophobic attitudes that we have developed in the modern times, since the colonial period, when section 377 was adopted, institutionalizing homophobia in our society, which earlier wasn't so. ठीक? West में भी, how did this happen? Michael Foucault, very interesting guy. I know what's on your minds, guys. Break मिलेगी. कब? मतलब आज. Michael Foucault. FOUCAUCLT. नहीं, CLT नहीं, LT. ठीक है, सॉरी. In his book History of Sexuality, वेस्ट में भी कैसे डेवलपमेंट हुआ है, प्लीज अप्रिशिएट. ही सेज दैट बिफोर द 18th century, any public discourse, any debates or discussions on sexuality were concerned with the sexual behavior of heterosexual married couples, that too for reproduction. Any discussions on sexuality before the 18th century focused on the sexual lives of heterosexual married couples for reproduction. ठीक? नहीं. I'm saying that any discussions on sexuality before the 18th century in the West focused on the sexual lives of heterosexual married couple engaging in intercourse for reproduction. Only after the 18th century did the West started taking interest in what he calls the world of perversion. World of perversion. What is perversion, or what was understood to be sexual perversion? Any sexual activity other than that for reproduction was considered a perversion. Any sexual activity other than that for reproduction was considered a perversion, a sexual perversion. ठीक है? So now onwards, मतलब 18th century के बाद, homosexuality began to be seen as dangerous for the society. It began to be seen as a danger for the society. Homosexuality began to be seen as a danger. So now it was made illegal or criminalized. Homosexuality was made illegal or criminalized. right? The government authorities, the government and the police, they emerged as authority figures. Government and particularly police officials emerged as authority figures. Who started controlling people's sexual behavior. ठीक? By 1860s, by or roughly mid 19th century, homosexuality was medicalized. It was medicalized. Matlab, it was now viewed as a medical illness. Viewed as a medical illness. Okay, so who emerged as the new authority figures? Doctors and psychiatrists. They emerged as authority figures. Doctors and psychiatrists, because now it was seen as a medical illness. And they started searching for a cure for homosexuality. ठीक? चलो, you take a short break and then we continue. Please settle down, friends. Friends, please settle down. Where were we? Bitya, what's the last thing we've picked up? Foucault. Did we also discuss Gail Rubin? Then let us. Gail Rubin. Has constructed an erotic pyramid. Sorry? Has constructed an erotic pyramid. हाँ बिटिया पिरामिड जो इजिप्शियंस बना के गए थे वही वाला. Basically, this pyramid denotes the hierarchy of social prestige associated with different kinds of sexual behaviors. Simply, all people, members of the society, are not accorded the same level of respect by the society based on their sexual behavior. People are awarded different amounts of respect. Okay? On top of the erotic pyramid, सबसे ज़्यादा इज्जत किसको मिलती है? अरे ऐसे ऐसे heterosexuals नहीं. Married heterosexual couples with children. सबसे ज्यादा समाज में इज्जत उनकी होती है. मैरिड हेट्रोसेक्सुअल कपल्स विथ चिल्ड्रन इन अ मोनोगैमस, मैरिड हेट्रोसेक्सुअल कपल्स इन अ मोनोगैमस रिलेशनशिप, ठीक. दूसरे लेवल पे आते हैं अनमैरिड हेट्रोसेक्सुअल मोनोगैमस कपल्स. अनमैरिड heterosexual monogamous couples. तीसरे नंबर पे आते हैं other heterosexuals. First is married heterosexual monogamous couples. Second is unmarried heterosexual monogamous couples. Third is other heterosexuals, straight chadas and chadis. Then next would be gay male couples. Gay male couples in stable long-term relationships. Gay male couples in stable long-term relationships. ठीक. फिर आते हैं बार डाइक्स एंड promiscuous gay men. Sorry? Bar dykes basically refers to, lesbian women who seeking partners would hop from bar to bar. ठीक है? Bar hopping for new sexual partners. Those lesbians. ठीक? Promiscuous gay men मतलब those not in a committed relationship but having multiple partners and uncommitted. ठीक? उसके नीचे आते हैं ट्रांससेक्सुअल्स. sadomasochists. सैडोमैसोचिस्ट्स, जो सुन रहे हो वही लिख लिया करो. बार डाइक्स एंड प्रोमिस्क्यूअस गे मेन के अगला है ट्रांससेक्सुअल्स, सैडोमैसोचिस्ट्स एंड सेक्स वर्कर्स. कुछ तो ऐसे ही होता होगा. ठीक. Sadomasochists, those who derive sexual pleasure from pain. हाँ, kind of BDSM stuff. ठीक. And sex workers. Sex workers would include prostitutes, porn stars, the works. ठीक. And the lowest in this sexual hierarchy would be कौन? गेज से भी नीचे, ट्रांससेक्सुअल से भी नीचे. सॉरी, अरे अनमैरिड गेज हो तो गए हमारे. प्रोमिस्क्यूअस गे मेन, प्रोमिस्क्यूअस वही तो होते हैं. गेज से भी नीचे, ट्रांससेक्सुअल से भी नीचे, सेक्स वर्कर्स से भी नीचे. दोज हु क्रॉस इंटरजेनरेशनल बाउंड्रीज, जो छोटे छोटे बच्चों को प्यार करते हैं, हाँ, उनको कोई इज्जत नहीं मिलती. दोज हु क्रॉस एज बैरियर्स आर दी लोएस्ट इन दी सेक्सुअल हायरार्की. सॉरी, पीडोफाइल्स, पेडरस्टी भी बोलते थे एंशियंट ग्रीस में. I'll give you a very quick peek into the LGBT rights movement in India. ठीक? When did this movement start? All this rainbow flags, whatever, LGBT rights discourse, when did it start? Any idea? In India. After liberalization, that's quite on the mark. ठीक है? Or let me put it this way, the earliest writings on homosexual issues in the public domain were as back as early 20th century. During the colonial period, in the early 20th century, you had the first writings on homosexual issues. There was this Gandhian figure, Gopal Bandhu Das. He wrote poems written in prison, okay, in Odia. That was the first homoerotic literature. I'm just mentioning in passing, okay, that the earliest writings were in the first half of the 20th century. You had Gandhi writing in Young India on the issue of homosexuality, defending or criticizing it. You know Gandhi, he's your father, he's our father of the nation. Condemning homosexuality, and in his view it was a result of the decline in moral education. Okay, so because of that, homosexuality is this thing. But nevertheless, he condemned homosexuality, but nevertheless, when Gandhi wrote on it, it became a part of the public debates and discussions. ठीक? You had celebrated poets वगैरह like Ismat Chugtai, okay, Firak Gorakhpuri, writing in defense of homosexuality. Ismat Chugtai wrote one of the first Urdu feminist stories containing lesbian themes. लिहाफ और इस टाइप के उन्होंने लिखे थे. And then Firak Gorakhpuri wrote defending ghazals that celebrated the beauty of young boys. ठीक? This was all in the colonial period, first half of 20th century. In 1970s, the first systematic study of homosexuality in India. A book by the name of The World of Homosexuals was authored in 1970s by, and you all know her. Guess? The World of Homosexuals, 1970s में. कौन? तुक्का मारो. सॉरी, नहीं, विक्रम सेठ तो 1970s में तो जस्ट पैदा ही हो रहे होंगे, आई एम प्रिज्यूमिंग. इट्स अ वुमन. नो तुक्का. इंदिरा गांधी. राजकुमारी अमृत कौर. शकुंतला देवी, mathematician, and Ruth Vanita. Shakuntala Devi. It was Shakuntala Devi. So she was married to an IS officer who was allegedly gay. Okay, so because of which her marriage went through a turmoil. But she wrote a very sympathetic account of homosexuality in India, and in this book also one of the first public appeals for decriminalization of homosexuality. ठीक. Then the LGBT rights movement, these were only the initial stirrings. The LGBT rights movement came into full bloom. It received a major boost during 1990s. During 1990s. क्यों? क्या हुआ ऐसा 1990s में? Liberalization says so. How is that related to the gay rights movement? Okay, so one would be the cultural influence of West, or sorry, free media, absolutely. Very good. Funds started flowing in, absolutely. Suparna Bhaskaran writes that the maturation of queer consciousness in India coincided with economic reforms, right faster, economic reforms, comma, increased cultural contact with the Indian diaspora, and the advent of satellite television, satellite TV. See, that basically meant what? That the Indian LGBT rights movement was greatly exposed to the developments in the West. So the Western LGBT rights movement had a direct bearing on the Indian LGBT rights movement. ठीक? So it was during this period of 1990s, friends, that a lot of academic literature on queer issues began to, scholars like Ruth Vanita, Salim Kidwai, they're all children of that time. Academic literature on queer themes gay pride parades being held, especially in the major cities. Gay pride parades. Film festivals began to be organized, queer film festivals. Theek? Have any of you been to this thing? Any of the gay pride parades? The Tiranga, not Tiranga, the rainbow flag and stuff. It happens in Delhi and CP. In major cities it takes place. How many of you have been? Ever? Sorry? Haan. You've been there? Okay. So, gay pride parades and lot of this, all of this started taking place. Increasing depiction of homosexuality or gay characters in cinema, popular cinema. One of the first films, mainstream films to depict homosexuality was Fire, okay, by Deepa Mehta, starring Shabana Azmi and Nandita Das in a lesbian relationship. And that movie literally set the screens on fire. Matlab, in Bombay, Shiv Sena activists, they burned down theatres. Okay, because for them it was like against Indian culture and everything. But since then, there was increasing portrayal of homosexuals in cinema. And then you had, of course, queer film festivals where, with a much niche audience, but where also again the issues began to be addressed. Then another very major development for the LGBT rights movement was the advent of kya? Internet. Internet से क्या मतलब LGBT राइट्स का? वो अपनी जगह, हम अपनी जगह. क्या फर्क? How is the gay rights movement affected by internet? Free flow of ideas, yes. So, increasing exposure to what he is saying, Western developments and ideas and cultures. Absolutely. So, community formation. So, the internet, please appreciate, internet is characterized by anonymity. It is cheap. It has very wide reach. Yes or no? So, internet access enabled community formation. Otherwise, members of the community would live in social isolation. सब सोचते थे मैं ही इकलौता ऐसे बावला हूं. But then पता चला नहीं, मेरे जैसे और भी बहुत बावले हैं. Are you with me? It enabled NGOs to reach out to members of the community for psychological counseling, helping in coming out. Coming out matlab, it is said metaphorically that many members of the community live in the closet. Living in the closet matlab not out about their sexuality to the society or their near and dear ones. So when you come out when you reveal your sexuality, it's called coming out. Theek? So facilitating coming out, psychological counseling, raising awareness about safe sex practices, activism, community formation, community building, theek hai na? All of that. So it ended the social isolation of the members of the community. Theek? On the issue of gay marriages specifically, Jeffrey Weeks, not in India but in general, in the West, Jeffrey Weeks suggests that many homosexuals view their unions or their families as chosen families. Chosen families. Chosen family matlab kya? it is otherwise assumed that you don't choose your family members, right? You live with them. But for members of the LGBT community, if your, say, blood relatives are not accepting or tolerant of your alternative sexuality, but others are, you may consider them as your family. For example, if, say, your landlord is very understanding of your alternative sexuality, you may regard him as a close uncle. Are you with me? Or if your friends are more accommodating, yes or no? You may consider them to be a part of your chosen family. ठीक? Sasha Rosenell considers that, same-sex unions challenge heteronormativity. Same-sex unions challenge heteronormativity. And ensure that people or society develops greater tolerance for alternative sexualities. Society develops greater tolerance for alternative sexualities and alternative family forms. Alternative family forms. Rosenell suggests that in same-sex unions, the line between friendship and sexual intimacy has been blurred. The line between friendship and sexual intimacy has been greatly blurred. People have multiple sexual partners. So a lot of flexibility and permutations and combinations there. Okay? And this trend, having multiple partners or, blurring of the line between sexual relations and friendships, it began with same-sex unions, but now it has also affected heterosexual unions. In the West, they are talking. Meaning what? Simply, if we are friends today, we may become sexual partners tomorrow. And then, day after tomorrow, we may again become friends for a while. Yes or no? I may be your friend's boyfriend or girlfriend, and then tomorrow I can be yours. All sorts of permutations and combinations began with the same-sex unions, but now has also developed in, kya naam hai tumhara? Heterosexual lives. So you have things like friends with benefits and one night stands and the works. ठीक है? Also, tell me friends, is this homopanthi? Is it a class thing? Simply, is it an अमीरों के चोचले? कि और कोई काम धंधा होता नहीं तो इन सब में ध्यान बंटता है अमीर लोगों का. यस और नो? नो. माया शर्मा conducted studies highlighting the plight of poor, working class lesbians. ठीक है? To dispel the myth that it's an elite kind of a phenomena. ठीक है? Or an upper class phenomena. गरीबों में भी सेक्सुअल डिजायर्स या सेम सेक्स सेक्सुअल डिजायर्स होती हैं. ये नहीं है कि सिर्फ ये अमीरों के चोचले हैं. एशली टेलिस, I derive sometimes some sadistic pleasure. Ashley Tellis has been critical of the LGBT rights movement in India. For excessively focusing on legal reforms or the legal fight. Basically, Tellis says what his argument is that, there are crores of LGBT rights persons in India. Now, this struggle for legal recognition, whether it is watering down 377 or now gay marriages, it hardly affects bulk of the LGBT population. The Dalit LGBT, the disprivileged LGBT, the marginalized LGBT, who are marginalized on various counts, not just because they are sexual minorities. Are you with me? This legal reforms, this striving for legalizing gay marriage or adoption rights or decriminalizing homosexuality is exclusively focusing on legal reforms, while the problems of the community are much bigger than that, or it's far more than that, or can more than what only law can achieve. ठीक है? बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. So what's your take? Should we legalize gay marriages? It is a complex issue. ठीक है ना? There are no straightforward answers. There are various considerations, legal ramifications, etc. But yes, out of the heteronormative framework, any discussions should be beyond the heteronormative framework. ठीक है? धन्यवाद.